Your name is
Okay, I'm Delina Hewitt. I'm a sophomore.
I'm Sinisa Savain, and I'm a junior.
I'm Mackenzie Andrade, and I'm a junior.
Elijah Gant, I'm a senior.
So what do you have to say about the school administration's handling of the recent events in your school involving prejudice?
I think it was like a good start, like making it like aware that like this is a problem. But I feel like we could have like, I don't know, went about it a different way. Cause I feel like he was being like, I feel like he was like blaming like students and like, I guess the community, but he like didn't want to say like, oh, it's your fault. Like, I don't. He kept contradicting himself kind of. So I feel like if we went about it like a different way, then it probably would have been more impactful. Yeah.
I agree with that because like it was good, but there's always room to do better. Mm-hmm. So like I agree with that. It was a good start, but like there were certain parts of it where I just didn't feel like it was the right thing to say like at that given moment.
I think it was like, I think for like the whole thing, like it's like a hard topic to talk about, to even discuss. So I liked how he did like take that initiative and like try to represent us almost in that speech. I felt like there was just like key points where I didn't really necessarily agree with, but that doesn't mean I'm against it. I think it was a good start for a really hard topic. So.
Use the word good start.
Yeah.
What's next?
What's next?
That's always something that I feel like is very hard for us because we're like, we want to be involved sometimes, but then like at other times we don't want it to take away from like our school day and our education. So like, I don't know how to say it correctly, but like for what's next, like I feel like we just need to get more people involved and like more of an awareness about the issue and like kind of take away the ignorance that comes with it.
I also feel like the administration should like make this kind of like a priority. Because I feel like right now it's kind of just like, yeah, this happened, and it's like, I feel like,
an
yeah, it's like, I feel like, how do you say it? They're kind of like brushing it off, kind of, and I feel like if they like, they're kind of like consistent with it and like checking up on us and like kind of like going back to like talking about these things, because I feel like we don't really talk about it like after like the whole like presentation and stuff like that. Like I feel like we haven't really talked about it, so I feel like if we go back to these things and like have discussions, I feel like that could really like help change.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Just consistency, constantly talking about it, constantly being aware of it. This is something that happens every day. Knowing how to like, if you were in a situation like that, like having the tools to know what to do, and in like a positive way. Make sure it doesn't happen in our community again.
Obviously, we're in a town in Scituate, going to school in this town that is, I don't have the numbers, but 90%, 95% white students.
Yeah.
What kind of, how does that contribute to?
I feel like it's hard.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I feel like people always see us as like the kids who are like loud in the hallway, or like we're always joking around and laughing with everyone, but like it's really hard to like show who you are and show who like you aspire to be when like some of the community like doesn't accept you for who you really are. So it's kind of like you're always showing like a part of yourself, but you're not like being true to who you like really are and who you would like to be.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's kind of like a mask. Like when we walk into school, we have to put on like a different kind of like front, I guess. And I feel like now we're starting to like really be comfortable with ourselves, like in school and stuff like that. Because I feel like we've like all like, I don't know, just gained like more confidence.
Like fed up.
Yeah. And we're like more confident in ourselves, and it's like at a point where it's like we're comfortable with like being in our skin, and
Yeah, I think like my whole experience with it was like, I never really felt like a part of the community. And then after this whole thing happened, like I really didn't feel like anyone was like there for me that like went to this school. It was like almost like being in it was a classroom full of like 26 other people, and it really just felt like it was only me there. Like it was like those 56 minutes or whatever would go by like painfully slowly. I feel like after everything happened, because the only thing that was on my mind was like, who's gonna say it next? Is it gonna be someone I know? Is it gonna be someone I've traded notes with or like studied with or talked to in the hallways before? I feel like that like really like took a lot out of me. Like, so after the whole thing happened, like it kind of left me in like a different like aspect of like what I saw this town as.
But there are definitely people that like support us, so I don't want to just like say like, oh, we don't feel supported, because there's definitely people that do support us, but I feel like we have more growing to do. So.
Yeah. In the end of the day, like we've all been told this, like it's gonna make us stronger in the end. Anything you go through that's like tough, like it's like for better days like to come.
But it's like when you're going through it, it's like personally, like if people are having a tough time at home, I feel like, and then they come to school and they're having like an even tougher time at school, like they never win because you go home and you're like don't want to be in that environment, and then you come to school and it's like another toxic environment. So it's like you don't really have that like winning position where you can like go to school and be happy because you're with your friends, or you go home and it's like finally like I get to be by myself, or I get to do what I want. So it's like it's just really tough basically.
I think for me, I'm fine with everybody. Like I've always surrounded myself around people that like supports me. I've been coming to school here since like first grade. I've been involved in a lot of stuff like basketball, and I've always had people supporting me. But it's definitely like I don't trust as many people as I used to trust after all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually really agree with that. Like my guard has definitely gone up, and I noticed like I still have like friends that go here, like people that I do like enjoy talking to, and people that I don't think are or would do something like that. Like, I feel like I definitely did like kind of push back on like certain things. Like we're friends, but like let's not get too close just in case something comes up. Like, because at the end of the day, I feel like the whole thing. Like now I get like goosebumps like whenever someone talks about race. I'm like, don't say something racist, like, or not even racist, just don't say something offensive. Like I don't know what I would do, and like I don't know how to handle that. So I feel like I've like definitely like pushed back a lot on like certain people. Like I've just not talked, or I haven't gone that deep to talk about anything, like even like to like music and stuff. So I just don't want to put anybody or myself in that situation, like to become awkward and stuff like that.
And it's like, again, like I want to emphasize that like we know there are people who support us, like, and we're really grateful for those people, but it's like some of the people who support us, like they support us to our faces, but then like if it were to happen when we weren't there, like I don't really consider them to have my back. Like I would consider them to have it like if I was there, and to be like, hey, don't say that, or like, hey, you shouldn't do that. But if I wasn't there, like I don't have the confidence in some of my friends that they would be able to do that for me.
You guys were consulted, I don't really know the details, but you consulted with Mr. Orgo and the administration about, I guess, how to respond to what happened. But at the same time, you're students, and you have to, first of all, there's a commute for some of you, but just juggling, like, I don't know, you have to be a regular student. You're expected to keep your grades up just like everybody else, but at the same time.
We also have this to worry about.
Yeah, they're coming to you and asking.
It's
what to do.
really hard to do that, because like personally, like me, I've missed like classes that I did need to be in to like have like discussions and like planning out what we're gonna do to like help like make the school more comfortable, I guess, for like all of us. And I feel like it's not really fair for like to us, because it's like it affects our grades, it affects how we feel in this school, and I feel like if you don't feel welcome, if you're just not comfortable in this school, it's gonna affect how you learn, basically. And I feel like that's just not fair to us, because it's like we're a student just like everyone else in this school. We're a human being, and I just feel like I don't know, it's just not fair.
Yeah, like I feel like we're constantly emphasizing the fact that like I know people want our help and like our opinions, but like it's not our job. Like we shouldn't be the ones to have to educate people because of like their ignorance almost, and it kind of hurts us as a community, because it's like I live in Scituate, but like they come from Boston to like get their education here. So when they come here, it's like even worse for them, because like they chose to come here, but they didn't choose for like the problems that came with it. Like none of us chose to have the color of skin that we have, like to have any of the problems that come along with it. So it's not like we can just step out of our bodies and like keep it pushing. Like we can't do that. So I feel like that's what makes it harder, and people don't necessarily like understand that, and they want our opinion and they want us to help, but it's like I need to be in class, because if I'm not in class, like I get a 0 and that affects my grade.
And of course we want our opinions to be heard, but it's like I don't know. You're like juggling like being involved in like school, and it's like both are really important, but it's like you really can't like really choose a side, I guess.
Do you ever feel that if you were to express one of your opinions about, or just how you feel about things in general, that it would like alienate some of your friends, like make people think differently about you?
Like personally, I've said my opinion like if I hear someone make a remark that I don't think they should have said, I'll be like, why did you say that? Like, why would you say that? And like everybody in the room gets awkward, and they're like, oh, like Mackenzie spoke up about it.
And I think
So like
that's
it
the
does,
problem.
yeah, it
Everyone
does make
just
the
finds-
environment.
uncomfortable.
I feel like everyone just finds it awkward to talk about stuff like that, and I just feel like it shouldn't be.
Or they expect us to have something to say about, like, race or something.
Yeah, all the time.
Or you feel
but
like-
I feel like, you know,
Or you feel like things are like targeted towards you. So like you can be in class and you can be talking about like whatever's in the curriculum, but like the way the teacher words it or the way like it comes out that you're like, was I supposed to answer that? Like was I supposed to answer for all people of color and not like basically like the whole race? So it's like you feel weird almost, like you don't know where to speak up and when to stay quiet.
like, going off what Cindy said, it's like makes people awkward. It's like it makes people awkward and uncomfortable, but I feel like at the age we are at and like all of like social media and everything, like everything gets around. Like you know like people find ways to like know what happens like in the news and stuff and like seeing things that are being done that are like wrong. So I feel like we're at the age where you can't say like, oh, it's uncomfortable, I don't want to speak about it. It's like you're at the age to be able to sit in a conversation and talk about it.
Yeah.
Or like listen and just gain knowledge into understanding it. You don't have to like accept it, but just know that it's going on so that when something like this happens, you can't say you didn't know.
Just be aware.
It's just you're just learning more. Like, you know what I mean? You're just making yourself a better person, like learning everything, just understanding everything, taking everything in.
Because it's all rooted in ignorance. You know, because and it's not necessarily willful ignorance, because we, you know, grew up in a town that is isolated.
Yeah.
Everything like that. How do students go about like addressing, improving,
I
like
feel
re-educating themselves?
I feel like first off, I feel like if you see something, you say something. Because I feel like a lot of people, like also if they see like one of their like students or like another white person saying something, they like feel like they shouldn't say anything, so like they don't seem like that person that will like be like annoying, I guess. But I feel like if you see something, if you hear something, you should definitely like speak up, because that would really like help us, I guess, like to know that you're like there for us.
Along with that, like I noticed that when we had the the speech by Mr. Wargo in the pack, that like when we were in there and then we walked out, after that, like it really showed some people choose to be ignorant.
Yeah.
Like, because some people just didn't, like we weren't asking you to take our side and like be with us. We were just asking you to listen, like hear him out and listen to what he has to say, like, and how this is affecting us. And some people just chose to ignore it and still be ignorant, and it like really shows your character when you do something like that. Because it's like you just had the opportunity, you didn't have to say anything.
At
Like,
this
you didn't
point,
have to have
they're
a
aware,
discussion.
basically.
Yeah. So it's like when something happens now, like you're aware of it. So like you can't have that excuse of being ignorant. Like I didn't know.
Yeah. There's like no more of that excuse. I think something that when people ask me this question or like ask me like what we think like the student should think like to make themselves like not be in a situation like that, I really think you should like not listen, but like think before you speak. Think about whatever you're putting out. Think about what you're going to say, like what effect it could have on other people. Like, and I know that because I've been going to Scituate since I was in the 2nd grade. We've always been taught like that. Think like, is it inspirational? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Like, I really think everyone knows that at this point, and I think it can go into like something that's like very important in your life. Like, you don't know what somebody else could be going through, not in just like this school, but I feel like in anything. So when you put out anything that could be some type of like wrong or hurt somebody in a hurtful way, if you don't think, it could not only like hurt that person at that moment, but it could domino effect into like everything else. Like I know like when the things were happening like in our school, it just like it sent me into something different, because it was like this is happening and then this is something else that I have to deal with, and it's like now everything just kind of felt like everything was tumbling on me. Like I didn't have any type of like someone to like come and save me. So I feel like if you just thought before, you know, you post what you post, or like you sing what you're about to sing, or send what you're gonna send, like think about what effect it could have on somebody else, even in like 10 years or like the next month, because people think if you post it those 24 hours when it disappears, that it disappears forever. But it's like someone's always gonna figure out, always have it. It's always gonna be online, and it, no matter how long ago it was or when it was recording, how long it was, it'll always affect that person for like the rest of their life. Like I know these things have happened like recently, and I know like the main things were happening like 2-3 months ago, but they still affect me. Like I still carry that with me when I walk up and down these halls. I know that this happened, and like that's why I do step back in certain friendships, and like I do just stay on my toes a lot more now. So just thinking about what you say before you say it, and understanding that you don't know how, if you don't know how then, just don't post it in general. Like you don't know how you could affect somebody. And I know that person probably didn't want to do it that way, but that's how it happened, just because they didn't think before they posted what they posted.
And it's like walking through the hallways and like seeing the people who have done what they've done. It's like a constant reminder. It's like you see them and you're like, that's all you can think about of the person. Like you can't think about the person that they were before that, because what they did like impacted you so much that that's all you see anymore. And then when you're walking, even when you pass that person, you're like, who else is it? Like who's gonna like hurt me next and hurt the people I care about next?
Almost like I have as a call to action for teachers.
I feel like teachers need to educate themselves on what's going on too.
Yeah, and when they see something, like, address it right there, because I feel like we have a tendency, like, as a community, when something happens, to, like, wait to address it, and then, like, it loses the impact of you addressing it. So I feel like, as a teacher, or, like, even as an educator of any sort, like, if you see something happen, like, you need to act on it, like, then and there. Like, you don't have to act upon it in front of the whole class or anything like that, because that would obviously be embarrassing, but, like, pull that student aside or whoever it may be and, like, talk to them about it and be like, what you said is not okay, or what you did, or whatever it may be. Because, like, again, when you wait on it, it, like, takes away, like, the impact that it's going to have. And, like, that's why I feel like people can get away with it, because teachers, like, give it almost as, like, a slap on the wrist. And then everybody just, like, keeps going with their regular day. And then when one student gets away with something, or they're like, oh, I said this, and then, like, nothing happened to me, that, like, accumulates for more people to think that, like, they can say whatever they want to us or around us, and it's, like, not okay at all.
I think, like, one thing I, like, would want to say about the teachers is that I've noticed, like, a couple of teachers that I know, like, have been, like, asking me, like, oh, how are you? Like, how's everything? Not, like, saying, like, that's, like, they started, like, because of everything that's happened, but I like, the support I feel like I'm getting from the teachers, but, I do know, and, like, everybody's entitled to whatever they think, but I do know that there's, like, certain teachers that, like, don't really, like, are not against it, but not necessarily for everything that's happened, or have a very strong opinion to whatever we have going on. I just think about, because I know students that have been in that classroom. It's like there's students sitting in your classroom, like, not wanting to be there, and I feel like as an educator or as a teacher, you're supposed to teach, like, your students, like, how to, not along with the subject you teach, but how to be, like, a better student and a better person in the community. And, like, if you're making the classroom environment somewhere you don't want to be, how are you doing what I feel like your position is? Like, yeah.
And I feel like some teachers need to be more, like, sensitive with it, because, like, if it comes up in the curriculum, like, you can talk about it as a whole, but, like, you need to make sure that, like, what you're saying as well, like, isn't impacting us. Because personally, I know, like, if my teacher says something, like, that I don't agree with, like, necessarily, I think about it a lot. Like, every time I see that teacher, I'm like, oh, my teacher said whatever it was. So I feel like you have to be really careful about what you choose to say and, like, your word choice when it comes to, like, a topic as sensitive as this one.
Is there anything else you guys would like the community to know, or to, like, is there something that's been in your head that you want to say?
Well, is this like, is it for like the school, or like all of Scituate? Like,
Either or.
I would say even all of Scituate, because
I feel like parents also play a big role. I feel like parents need to, like, educate their kids, even if it's like they're in, like, elementary school. I feel like everyone needs to be educated about this, and yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Just constant conversation. and like breaking down whatever we feel like is awkward. I feel like if it starts from the home and like starts with someone that you like look up to, because I know I definitely look up to my parents, like,
Oh, yeah.
and if I see that it's wrong in their eyes, I'll understand more. So just constant conversation, breaking down this stigmatism that it's weird or awkward or uncomfortable to talk about, it'll have like really big like changes.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like there already has been significant changes. Like I know that like a lot of students have come up to me and just not like showed me that they don't understand what's going on, like, but have come to me and just said like, I know what's going on. I'm not gonna be one of those people that are like, oh, I'm 100% like against it. Like I never want to have something like that happen, but just like almost like confiding in me and asking me like, I understand why you feel like this, and like I'm not gonna be that 100% person, but I want to come around to that because I do like value our friendship and stuff like that. So it definitely shows in certain kids, and that's something I really appreciate that the community's given me.
We have more growing to do.
Yeah.